No, when I heard stage 4, I heard death. That's all I heard. I was like, "Oh, wow, I'm dying."
Are you running a marathon? Oh my god, I could never run a marathon. You sure about that? My god, a marathon? That's like 42 kilometers, 26 miles. I don't understand those people.
That used to be me, but not anymore. Welcome to the Marathon Podcast. My name is Christian Warwick. Warwick runs on Instagram, YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. If you are a regular listener, welcome back. Really appreciate you being here. And I hope that you've had a great start to the new year, that you've been able to get some nice runs in. I've really enjoyed running lately. I had my first run in a while where I actually had to end my run a bit early because of some niggles. Not very worried about that, but taking some days off right now as I'm editing this just to make sure that it doesn't escalate into something bigger. So I think that that is something that I've learned more about after having this podcast, like having Jess McLean on, where she said that as soon as she feels something, she'll take a day or two off, and that will usually kind of make her recover. This is obviously a plan that I have with John. It was John's idea to have these days off, but it does make me feel more comfortable having those days off, having talked to so many athletes and so many runners about these things. So that is where I'm at with the running. Not a lot to update you guys on there. In today's episode, we're having Janina Simmons with us, or Jay. She is a very, very impressive human being. And it was hard not to get a bit emotional during our conversation, hearing her story. She just did a very fast marathon. She did a 3:03 marathon at the CIM. But what's unique about her, other than a fast marathoner, is that she has cancer. Her body is still fighting this disease, and she is going through things that most of us can't even imagine. And so that kind of made this conversation even, or obviously, much more special. And I'm so grateful to Jay for opening up and sharing how running has helped her, because running has definitely just become her way of coping with this and figuring life out in a situation that she is. So I'm very excited for you guys to hear this episode, to listen to this. And I think that we should just dedicate all our time of this episode to Jay. So have a nice run if that's what you're doing listening, and enjoy this chat with Jay. Janina, welcome to the Marathon Podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's like I just told you, it's crazy. Like, I feel like all elite. I'm an elite runner now. I'm on the Marathon
Well, you
Podcast.
are. You are. We started chatting after CIM,
Mhm.
and before you introduce yourself, why don't you take us through that day? Because I know that that was a pretty cool day for you.
CIM was crazy. So, I ran a 3:03. According to Strava, I ran like a 6:50 something pace, 6:57. So we'll go with Strava. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, it was crazy in the sense was, and I say this, how do I say this? It was easy. Marathons are hard, you know that. But in the sense
Yeah.
of it not being my first one, and I've been through hard marathons, for running that fast, because 'cause I've never done that, the effort felt easy, like I surprised myself. Easy in a hard marathon. So it was, when I crossed the finish line, it was like, wow. And I will say that when I crossed that 3:03, I was like, it's now, because I'm a very, when I do one thing, I'm already looking for the next thing and the next thing. But now with the 3:03, it's game over. Like, now I'm locked in. Now I'm like, oh, wait. So I don't even care about breaking 3 hours anymore. Now I'm like, so can you do 2:45? So now I'm very excited and motivated. And now I know, which I knew before, but now I know that the training, trusting the process, all the things that we know about running, it definitely works. It definitely works. So I'm super pumped.
Yeah, awesome. I totally agree with you. And I love what you're saying about like being locked in, and also kind of the sky is the limit.
It's the
And
limit. Yeah.
that is, yeah, that's the way to think about it. And I think that there are way too many people kind of just limiting themselves
Yes.
just based on whatever their perceptions of whatever limits they think they have, you know?
Yes. I think, and once we go with the podcast, you'll see, I think the first thing when people talk about running, they're like, "Oh, what watch do you wear? Is it a Garmin or what shoes?" That is the last thing you need to be worried about. The first thing you need is belief. What do you want and what do you think you can do? And whatever you think you can do more. Just know that. And then that's when you start creeping up the watch and all the externals. Don't worry about that. Once you have that belief, that's all a runner needs. If you have a coach or not, if you're just a leisurely, you want to just run the half marathon and the marathon, knowing you can do it or believing you can do it, that's all you need. And then you go from there. So yeah.
Yeah, and I know that you are, like you just said, that belief is a very important thing for you.
Hmm.
And before we keep on talking about all this running, I would love for you to present yourself and also a bit of your story. And I know that you have like you shared some of it with me before we started chatting, and you have a very powerful story. And it's not just been about getting to that 303
Oh
marathon. You have
no.
some challenges
Right.
that most of us are not really dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah, let's try to make a long story short. My name is Janina Simmons. I'm currently a SAR major in the United States Army. I've been in the Army for about 15 years, going on 16 in August. So I've moved through the ranks fairly fast. I'm very young. I'm 35 years old. So I was born and raised in Germany. No athletic nothing. There's not this collegiate story behind me. Um, Roughly at the age of 17, I moved to Germany with my dad. We had some family issues, so I moved with my dad. I went to high school. No track, no nothing. I played basketball. I would consider it I rode the bench because I didn't want to be out there. I was on the team. I was with the my other peers, but I was not athletic. I was 95 pounds. Right now I'm like 145, so I was bigger. I'm not saying that's big, but for me that's way bigger. Um, so I actually joined the army then because I didn't want to pay for college. And if you join the army, you get free college. I did a year of college before joining, skipped class all the time. Then I joined the army. So when we talk about running, so in that sense, I've been running for 15 years, but in the army, on your APFT, so your physical fitness test, you have to do 2 miles. So I never really went above 3 to 5 because why? So I actually did pretty good at the 2 miler. Before I joined, no running, zero. So they said, hey, when you join the army, if you can pass this test in a 1930, which is what, like a 945 pace, you can promote to private first class. So I told my dad, I was like, let's go to the track, knock out 2 miles. I want more money. Mind you, this is Colorado, which now I know about altitude, back then, whatever. So we went to the track and I'm like, 2 miles. Couldn't finish a mile. It was like 13 minutes and my dad was just like looking at me and he wasn't mad or anything, but I was just like I quit. Like I physically meant I was just like I can't do it. And I stopped at 1 mile, like 13 something minutes, and I was like, there's no way. Now I'm terrified of joining the army because I can't even run 2 miles. But I went to like the YMCA, hopped on the treadmill, a few weeks prior. No data, no, I don't know what I did. I just hopped on there and did something. Went to basic training, worked out, did all the things, and I actually ran my 2 mile in like 14 minutes, which even now for a woman, that's fast. And
Yeah.
when they told me that, I was like, "Oh, wow, like maybe this is something." Um, went through my army career trying to maintain that 2 mile fitness, get into the 12s because that's where the elite are. And growing up in the army, I was always trying to be elite, and I did that. So I broke 1240 was like my fastest 2 miles, so that was cool.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's kind of just the sense on how all this got started. I've been stationed everywhere from Okinawa, Japan, all up in the States. I've ran, I think that was my 10th or 11th marathon. I probably should know that, but I don't remember. Probably ran 5 to 8 half marathons. Um, Ran my first marathon in 2012 in Okinawa. Zero knowledge of anything. I was one of those people, I think we still have some of those people in the sphere who watch social media who think, "Oh, I can run 5 miles, I can run a marathon." That was me. Just
Mhm,
like
mhm.
26 po what's the big hype? Because I can run, 2 miles in 14. Did that first marathon, I think I made it to, like, mile 10, and then I walked the entire way. I finished that one in, like, 5:20, so that was pretty bad, and I was never gonna do it again. I didn't start running long distance, anything over 5 miles again till, like, 2017, 2018, because it was so bad. I was like, "Oh, no." So yeah, that's kinda it. Oh, so speaking of challenges, so yeah, 2023, by this time, I know all about math and heart rate and all the things, running great. 2023, I was almost coming to El Paso to the SAR Majors Academy, so I found a lump on my groin. Because now I'm pretty slim, usually roughly around 150. I've had this groin there for 6 months. Health-wise, amazing. Physical fitness-wise, I mean, I've never been in better shape. This was at the age of 33. So I went to the doctor. My doctor came back, army doctor. She's like, "Hey, you got to go get this checked out." I was like, "Whatever." 'Cause I am tough. I'm one of those tough soldiers. Unless I'm dying or you need to cut my foot off, I'm not going to the doctor. Like, just suck it up and just
Mhm.
keep it moving. By this time, I'm already a ranger and all that, so I don't care. So my mom, she was like, "No, you need to go." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." So I went, they did the stuff, I'm back at work, and my doctor actually comes to my office, and she never leaves her office. So she came to mine, and she's like, "Hey, we found some lumps." Um, excuse me, we found some masses in your pelvic region. We don't know if they're benign or not. We need to get checked out. And this whole time, I'm just looking at her like, like it didn't, nothing registered. And she's like, it could potentially be cancer. And I'm just still looking at her like, in my mind, I'm this indestructible Wonder Woman. There's like cancer. It's like, nah. So I was like, whatever. So I got the
Sorry,
No, go
I
ahead,
have
go
to
ahead.
ask you, w did you actually, like, think whatever, or did your heart rate kind of just go up a little bit and did you get worried at all?
Yeah, so no, for that, it was whatever.
Okay.
It didn't make it from her mouth to my it didn't register. There's just no
Mhm.
way. It really was just like, whatever, it's probably benign. There's no way it's me."
Yeah, yeah.
So went to the doctor, we actually got the report back. I sent it to my mom, I sent it to some people, and they're like, "Oh, no, this is pretty bad. They're not like this, these are like tumors in your pelvic region." So now I'm worried. Now I'm a little hot. Now I'm like, "Oh, wow." Um, and I'm not gonna lie, and I'm just gonna keep it real in this podcast. I'm so invested now, not the 520 anymore. Now I'm like, "Oh, Boston and this and that." In my mind, all I hear is recovery. I hear surgery, like, that's what I'm thinking, like, "Oh, what if something's wrong? I gotta take time off," and it seems shallow, but that's really what I was thinking about. So went, did the biopsy, and it was stage 4 cancer. They were all, cancerous in my pelvic region. At the time, I was in North Carolina, and they're like, "Hey," after all the things, they're like, "Hey, you need to get this monthly injection. It's non-curable. We can cut it out, but we don't know the source. So if we cut it out, it's just gonna come right back wherever it's coming from. This monthly injection will keep it at bay." So really how they explained it, it'll cover the cancer and try to help it stop growing. And they're like, "That's it." And I was like, "That's it?" And they're like, "Hey, monthly injection, as long as you feel good, say less." So I was like, "Okay." Um, then I moved to El Paso a few months later, had to get a new doctor, you gotta get re-evaluated. And then the reports were like, "Oh, it's in your lungs, it's in your bones, in your sternum," and there was a fire. They were like, "You need radiation." So I was like, then now I'm hot, now I'm worried, and now I'm like, "Oh, I'm dying." Like, no, like, that was pretty like, I broke down, it was bad. I wasn't worried about running anymore, I was just like, "Oh, wow, like, we're done." So we went to LA, I had to go to LA to the doctor. She's talking about all the things, I have to do radiation. At that time, I don't even know the difference between radiation and chemo. Like, I know nothing about, you hear about it, but it's never used, so you don't
Mhm.
really care to, like, dive into it. She's like, "Hey, you need this radiation. It's very aggressive. It could cause more cancers, leukemia, etc." So, I was like, "Look," while I was there, I was like, "Look, what are we talking about? Like, I'm a straight shooter." And she's like, "Hey, you might have 5 years." Because the PET scan, when they did it, it revealed it's not just in my pelvic region. I mean, I got something on my shoulder, it was in the lungs, it's all over. It was like a Christmas
Mm.
tree. And I was like, "Oh, wow." And I just needed to hear it. So she's like, "Hey, people with your condition, 5 years." And I was like, "Okay." So last October, I had 4 radiation treatments. I had to go to LA. They take about 6 hours. You gotta get the radiation, then they have to do amino acids because your kidneys and all those things, and then that lasted till this last April, and then I got my scans in June, and then just recently, and the cancer, it's not gone, it's still all there, but it shrunk. So, I already told you how I'm a believer. She said 5 years,
Mhm.
now I'm like, "Well, maybe I got 10, maybe I got 15, maybe I got 20."
Mhm.
So that's kind of my mindset is. But to make a long story short, and we can talk about it more obviously, but that's kind of where we're at with things with me. I'm still in the army right now. I am potentially getting out next year due to a we call it a medical board. When you're no longer fit to serve physically, mentally, emotionally, I am fit, but when you have a big thing like cancer, the army doesn't, I can't, I'm non-deployable. I can't deploy because I need all the
Yeah.
medicine. So, I'll be looking at doing something else, which is fine. Been
Yeah.
there, done that.
But you did mention pretty early on that you are like this tough soldier,
Mhm.
and I'm sure that is like both mentally and physically. You've had this kind of like, I don't know if it's an iron mask or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
When you got the news about your cancer,
Mhm.
did you still have that, or was that kind of a reality check that I'm human after all? Like, and I'm not talking about just physically, but
Mhm.
mentally.
Yeah. So got the diagnosis, like I told you, it was like, whatever. Once they did the biopsy and things, I was like, "Hey, call me." Like, I was waiting by the phone when she called me, and she actually said the words stage 4, because the listeners, excuse me, if they don't know, stage 1, and then it goes to stage 4. Stage 1 means it's local. It's, let's say it's on my hand. It's just on
Yeah.
my hand. If we cut it out, whatever we do, that's okay. Then stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, it's like it's everywhere. It's in your lymph nodes. So when she said stage 4, I was like, "Oh wow. Oh no." I broke down, I cried. I was I was like, "Man, like I had all these things planned, ultra marathons, and I was very full of life. There was no part of me that was, lurking on the couch for a year and I fell off and I needed this big thing in life to like wake me up. I was very awake. So it was frustrating, but then the next day, you kind of reevaluate. And I'm grateful that the army and ranger school and all these things that I've done, they built some callous in my mind. Cause the next day I was like, okay, let's assess, because that's what leaders do. Calm down. What is the situation? The situation is you have stage 4 cancer. Absolutely. You're not dying. You're not in pain. It hasn't hit your vital organs yet. If nobody told you you had it, you wouldn't even know. So what changed? The only thing changed now is that I'm weak in the mind. Like, oh, I got cancer and all that. And I'm not minimizing it, but nothing changed. And this was prior to
Yeah.
radiation. So I was like, hey, like, calm down and just work through it, feel all the emotions, but work through it. You don't have to stop anything. And that's what I told you. I was like, "You know what? But just in case, let me sign up for this ultra marathon right now," because that was on my bucket list. So I did do that. But I think that even with these crises and everything, you have to be able to go to a place where you can calm yourself down and just look at all the data. Because even
Mhm.
now, so I finished it in April. um, my blood levels are so low. That's why I think I'm sick right now from the marathon. My white blood cell count is so low. I mean, you could probably look at me, sneeze wrong, and I'll get sick, and I'll be sick for a while because it suppresses your bone marrow.
Yeah.
But other than that, you don't stop living. You know, I had to figure that out because I think with cancer and some of these illnesses, it's the mind first. You know you have cancer, now woe is me. Now it's like, "Oh my god." But it's like, "But you're okay though." You know, I'm not
Mhm.
laying in the hospital bed. I'm not dying. Um, so that's kinda that, that's why I say that that mental aspect for myself, I have that figured out. I'll toe the line with the toughest people just because the mind is all you have. You know, if they tell me it could spread wherever, but as long as it can't physically affect my mind, I feel like I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah. No, it's really like an impressive way of handling it and thinking about it. And I think I'm sure a lot of the listeners listening to this, and also for myself, it makes sense when you say it, but it's not so easy to kind of
Oh,
do
for
that still,
sure.
right?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
never that easy. You know, I'll have moments. So when I was going through radiation, so I know with chemo, because the medicine's so strong, chemo attacks your whole body. So when you go through chemo, chemo doesn't know your toe from your head, so it just attacks everything in hopes it can kill the cancer. With radiation, for me, it was targeted. So it knew
Yeah.
where my cancer is and it's going to target that. But my hair was still falling out. I don't know why, and it wasn't full, but the sides, you know, they were just falling out. So it's those little things when you know, you when you have cancer, and I can't speak for everybody. I don't think about it all the time. Maybe that's because I'm so active, but I'm not
Mhm.
just like all the time. Like I haven't thought about it in weeks, honestly. But when
Mm.
you look in the mirror and you see that, you know, you're bald somewhere or, you know, you feel whatever, it does remind you. And then you go back in that state and you're like, oh, shoot, like I do have cancer. Da, da, da. But then you have to crawl back out quick. Because if you
Yeah.
stay there for long, to what you were saying, it does, it's still there. It's still real. The 5 year thing still might be real. I don't know if tomorrow they're going to be like, oh, we found something on your whatever, but
Mhm.
then you have that choice like we do in life. Either you focus on the could be and what could happen or, you know, and I've been very intentional with, you know, reading and stuff like that, stoicism, and it's helped me a lot. And it's like, hey, be in the moment. You're okay. So just calm down. And it helps me to
Mhm.
like, I'll think about it, but then I have a way of just getting rid of it. So it's there. It's always there. It's really real. I have the you know, I don't wanna call them worries because 'cause I'm not worried, but I do think about, you know, Gabby, my spouse, my mom, my dad, the people that I love. If something does, you have to think about those things. I'm a realist. Like, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you know, we have to be real about it. But, you know, that's what I that's what I like about life. It's all up there. It's gonna be what
Yeah.
you make it, you know? So, I hope
Exactly.
that it's always gonna be what you make it. And I just plan on making it this I say, what did I think I put on my Instagram? I put stage 4 cancer has me, you know, and I like that. It's like, oh,
Mhm. Yeah, that's cool.
stage
Yeah.
4 cancer has me. I don't have it, it has me. So it's like
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
picked me. So it's like you're gonna be up for a fight because if you thought, you know, I'm gonna stop running and doing nah, it's not happening. So
But it's also like, at least for me,
mhm,
one of the first questions that I like thought about when you were telling this story is that you're in the army, and to a lot of people, and I think especially for people who are not in the
mhm,
army, you might be like, well, when you have that kind of profession, then you have to be prepared. Like, now I'm exaggerating, but you have to be prepared to die at any moment, like if something happens, or like if you're deployed, like you said. Um, are you afraid or like scared of death in that way, or do you feel like you also have an advantage coming from that, where your job kind of, I don't know, it's almost a part of the job if necessary, if you know what I mean?
right. So I think a lot of people who join the army, they don't I think there's time periods. I think when you know, everything when we were heavy in like Iraq, Afghanistan, it was so real. But now that we're a little bit more far removed, I think that people who join now, they don't I'm not sure that they do think about it. But I agree with you. That's what we signed up to do. And it is like, hey, if you
And
join
it
the
could be
army, It's
training too.
yeah, training,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
You have people falling out of helicopters and, airborne, all those things. So the death question. So absolutely. So when it first happened, when I heard stage 4, I heard death. That's all I heard. I was like, "Oh, wow, I'm dying." Took it back, got my head together. What I did a lot was, I watched on YouTube, I watched NDEs, the near death experiences.
Mhm.
I think I watched all of them. And because I'm very faithful, I believe in God, and now I'm to a place where it's like, "Oh, wow," like, everything they're saying, and I'm not saying the listeners will, but I believe it. Those near-death experiences, to me, they're real, there a lot of them are very similar, and I do believe that they're this is what I believe. I believe that that is the life, and this is temporary, and some people believe this is life, and that's just what I believe. So it takes away a lot from the anxiety and the stress that comes with, "Oh, what if I'm dying?" Because
Mhm.
now it's like, when you watch those things and when you're a believer, it's like the thing I'm scared of when I if something does happen is, like I said, my family, because I
Yeah.
can't imagine. I've never had anybody who's really close to me die. My grandparents passed away, but I wasn't that close. My parents are still here. I don't know what that feels like, but I can imagine it's bad. And that's what I'm scared of. When your mom tells you, and she told me this, she was like, "Hey, like," she's like, "There's no way, like, I hope," and she's older, and she's like, "I can't be here if you die. I need to go before you go." And that's heartbreaking, you know what I'm saying? So those are
Yeah.
the kind
Yeah.
of things where I'm like, when you talk about fear of death, it's like, remove me, and these people daily lives, like, imagine your child is dead because of
Mhm.
cancer.
Mm.
But the fear, no, like, I feel like
Mm.
it drives the gratitude while you live,
Yeah.
because, I have cancer, and we can estimate, like, hey, with this type, 3, 5, whatever, let's say 10 years if you're lucky. Somebody else might be gone tomorrow in the car crash. So yes,
Yeah.
it's kinda, I'm not sure you wanna know that you're on the brink. It doesn't feel good, but at the same time, I know I am on the brink. So, what I like to think, what I do now, I don't hold back anymore. There's no,
No.
and we'll get into this, but I signed up for Bigfoot 200 in August, a 200-mile race. I have no business doing that. But in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, whoa." Like, I don't have time for, "Oh, I'm gonna we don't got time for that." So that's it's a very exciting way to live. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking all the money out my account and I'm just like making it rain. I'm
No.
not like that, but it's your mindset is just completely different. It's very I can't even get into simple conversations anymore when people are like, "Bro, I didn't get the parking spot." And it's like, "Really, man? That's what you're upset about?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your entire
Mhm.
perspective, like
Yeah.
with this CIM we were talking, is like, when I was running, genuinely, it felt good, and I was smiling a lot because I was just like, "Man, like, you're doing it, like, you're still here, you're running f," like, there's just so much gratitude. When people ask me, "Why are you always so motivated?" and things of that, I wanna tell them, like, you're already where you need to be." People are chasing the, I don't know, the cars, the money, the likes, the follow. I get
Mhm.
all that. We all do. We're all human, but you already have the happiness right here. It's
Yeah.
literally right here. If I run 303, what if I would have ran 258? What if I would have ran there's no difference. So right
No.
now, that joy you can get out of you. And I'm very big on that. I'm very big on that. Like, we chase, 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 chase. It's never gonna be good enough, I'll tell you that.
No.
When
Mhm.
you run a, let's say you run a 230. Let's just say whenever you run a 230, I promise you,
Mhm.
you're gonna go home, you're gonna recover. That next week, you're gonna be like, "Man, what if I hit
Yeah, I know.
220?" It's
It
never
happens all the time, and
we're
I think that with social media, it's getting worse too,
Oh, it's
right?
getting
Because you
so
start
bad.
comparing yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, like, now we see the influencers or whomever, and now they have the abs and the hybrid athletes, and now they have the hybrid. it's never gonna be good enough,
Hmm.
and now
Yeah.
we're running the ultras, and then now we're running the Arizona Monster 300 miles, and then we're then we're gonna run 400 miles, and
Yeah.
everything just keeps so we can keep chasing, but what I say when you're doing that, still be present in that happiness,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
as long as you're doing that, then that's fine. Go keep chasing. So that's kind of my
Mhm.
mantra.
Well, I just want to thank you for this introduction. We talked for a bit
That
already,
was a long
and
introduction.
no, but it was great because I feel like there are still. I think that I don't know, my motivation, the purpose of this podcast is for people to be inspired, to be
Right.
motivated, to
Mhm.
learn. And I feel like that's what you just did, right?
I
Like
appreciate that.
I'm almost crying here, but it's kind
Mm.
of um I think that it's really nice to hear your perspective. I think that the way you are, you know, you're not even encouraging others to do this, but you're saying what you're doing, and through that you're encouraging others.
Right.
And I'm sure that if you could like just tell everyone to just live and
Just live.
like yeah, and do the things that, because there's this quote that I've seen. It just
Mhm.
keeps coming up on my Instagram, and that is like, right now, someone else is dreaming about the life you have today.
When I tell you that one, I saw a lot of people because it was just recently Thanksgiving. They're like, "Oh, I'm so grateful for my health and this and that." And I hope they mean that, but somebody like me is. Like
Yeah,
so there's so much to be grateful for, and when we go on this hunt, I'm like what I tell people is, they're like, "Oh, they look for this motivation." And I was like, "I don't know if motivation's a thing. I think it's a gratitude thing. If you're grateful, you're gonna do it." And I told you this. I had every running injury in the book, and I would just pray. I'm like, I just want to go run. Just make I
yeah,
just so you wake up and you're like, man, I don't want to go to work. Whatever you don't feel like doing, you're all mopey. It's like, okay, we can take something away that you already have. Do you really want that? So that's sometimes why people don't and that's just this whole, philosophical, but it's real life.
yeah,
We can take this away now. Would you rather have somebody, oh, you know what? And then that's how I learned that through those little injuries. I was like, you know what? I don't care what pace, how far, what weather, I can go run.
hmm,
Thank you, God. And you just go run. And it's that sense of it's just freeing. It doesn't
yeah.
always have to be stressful and so that's kind of yeah.
No, I think the way you're talking about this is so important, and yeah, I think we tend to take it for granted. But I'm
Mhm.
also a big fan of also making the very unimportant things important, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So and what I mean by that is that uh, I think it's easy for people to be like, if I'm upset about a workout or
Mhm.
upset about a race,
Mhm.
and people are like, well, just consider, a lot of people are now suffering this or that.
Right, right,
And
right,
I'm like,
right.
yes. And I feel for them, definitely. And that's much worse than what I'm going
But
through right now. But I also want to allow myself, because I feel like if I'm not allowing myself that, then I will also not allow myself to be happy about the other things. So it's kind of like,
yes.
but still, there's you need to have that perspective and
Right.
know that this is one of those unimportant things, right?
So
Like,
right, and,
yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So, yes, so holistically, what I'm saying, that's how I feel, but I'm with you. We can talk
yeah,
all day about, "Oh, it doesn't matter." No, it matters. I'm running a sub-3 marathon. Do you know how many workouts and miles and split so in the yes, like, "Oh, man, my long" so, we're still human. We should still be able to be upset about all those little things, and mind you, us runners, anybody listening, we actually put time into it. So I hate when people are like, "It's just a marathon, it's just a
yeah,
run."
yeah,
Well, you didn't just wake up every morning and dedicate, I don't know, 30 minutes to 2 hours, so that's a lot of time. So not
mhm,
minimizing none of the little stuff, I'm talking about, like, just the consistent and ungratefulness. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah, no,
I
no, no, I'm
totally
with
agree
you with
with you.
that. I'm with you on
Yeah.
the yeah,
And
absolutely.
uh, I didn't feel like, or I didn't say it because of what you said, but it's more like it gives me a lot of perspective when I hear
Mhm,
stories like yours.
mhm,
And I think that the first thought that will hit a lot of people is like, oh, I'm focusing too much on this very unimportant thing.
mhm.
And then to me, at least, like if I compare it to the running for me, it's like it doesn't matter. I have a 2:47 marathon now. Like, does it matter if I do a 2:25 in the
Right.
future or if I get down to
Mhm.
2:15? And it's like in the big picture, like no,
Yeah,
it
it
doesn't
doesn't. It
matter.
doesn't. It
But
doesn't.
but I also know that if I start kind of like looking at it from a different perspective, I know that my anxiety will get worse if I don't run. I know that
Yes.
with that, I'm gonna be a worse fiance for my fiance.
Right.
I'm gonna be a worse dog dad or a cat dad. Like
Right,
all,
right,
all
right.
of those things that it's definitely gonna affect so many parts of my life, which
Right.
in turn will make other people's lives worse because
Absolutely.
I'm not being the best version of myself. So I think that those very unimportant things can become important.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I would like to have a good impact on the world and like make the world a better place.
Mhm.
But if I'm not in a good place, I'm going to struggle to make the world a better place. And then I'm going to be upset about that parking spot that was taken or
Right.
whatever, you
No,
know?
I agree. I'm telling you right now, if it ever gets so bad to where I can't run and I'm gonna do all my little, mantras, and it's gonna be hard. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a different resilience aspect because running is it's medicine. It's what I need.
Hmm.
And so, if we have another podcast and like, hey, you haven't been running for a year, I might just be here like all mopey and so we'll see.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely agree with what you said. Yeah.
But that also leads me to the question that I had when you were talking about where you like you're saying that the cancer was in your lungs. And the first thing I thought when you said that was like, well, the lungs are kind of essential for a runner. And then what kicks in now is like I don't, just like you said, I don't know anything about cancer or
Mhm.
cancer treatment. I
Yeah.
know that it's not good and I
Right.
hate it,
Right.
but I don't know the details, and I'm not sure if I want to like learn too much about it either. Like in
Yeah.
some ways,
Right, right,
ignorance is
right.
bliss. But as a runner, and for you, you now you ran like a super fast marathon, so your lungs must be working. But how does this work with cancer on your lungs, running, working out?
So for the last PET scan showed that they said the lungs kind of cleared up. They said too when it was in there, it wasn't like, wasn't that big. I don't know. So I will say that when I was undergoing radiation treatment, so they did it every week on a Friday. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'll give y'all the weekend, but on Monday I'm running. And I did. And my heart rate was, I mean, it was, it was a little zone one, zone two, but the heart rate was like I was doing a threshold. And I slowed way down and I still did it. Your body is just weak. I can't speak for chemo because I heard it's 10 times worse, but with the radiation, it doesn't hurt, but you just, and like I said, the levels, your bone marrow is suppressed. So now your white blood cell count, all the counts are just low. So now you're exercising, you need that energy and you don't really get that pop. But like I say, you just make it work because I'm very big on with the running. I love the training more than I love the marathons.
Mm.
I Marathons are fun. I love the adrenaline, you get out there. I mean, it's great, but the training, the everyday I like monotony. I don't know why, I like structure, I like monotony, I
Hmm.
like doing the same thing. So just waking up and being able to go for the run, I needed that. So I kept doing that. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty, but I still got it done. It was my medicine. I was like, "Hey, you're still here, like, you're still like, you're moving through it." 2, being somebody who's been injured before, I know how bad you can fall off if you have to take off, I don't know, 2 to 4 months. I mean, you're a whole new runner after that, and I wasn't willing to do that. I that's too hard. It's hard. So I was like, "Hey, just get something in, stay, a little active," and, I made it work. So
Mhm.
yeah, so lungs are good, and that's what I'm saying. So right now I feel great. Usually with, cancer, it's the pancreas, your lungs, obviously your heart, any of those vital organs, once it's there and it's harder to have a surgery in those areas, they become too complex, and or it's just in there and it's spreading, and then now it's inhibiting those functions. That's when those cancers are really dangerous. So luckily for
Mhm.
me, I'm not there yet, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're able to run. Like you said,
Me
it
too.
seems like that is a very important thing of in your life and a part of like coping with all of this. I want to ask you more about, the specifics of your training and
Mhm,
how your body is responding to that. But I also was curious when you said what you said about like not taking time off. And this is obviously very different, but I did my marathon in September, 2
mhm,
weeks after I got sick. I think I got COVID or something
mhm,
like that, and then there was something on my lungs that
mhm,
just wouldn't go away.
mhm,
I think I had between 9 and 10 weeks of no running. So I was
mhm.
like
Oh,
best running
wow.
shape of my life
Mhm,
and not being really able to run. Tried every
mhm,
now and then it felt like I was breathing through a straw the day after or the
mhm,
rest of the day. And I was in the hospital one
mhm,
day. The doctors started asking me questions you don't want them to ask questions, the
mhm,
questions you don't want them to ask. And so, like, for a few hours here and there, I also felt like, oh, now something is wrong. I've never had this before. It's like
mhm,
not going away.
mhm,
The doctors told me that they didn't understand why it didn't go away, like
mhm,
all those things that can make you worry. My point, the reason I'm saying this is that 3 weeks ago, I think it is, then I started running again.
mhm,
And it was like, I think 4 weeks ago, I started doing like 10 minutes. It's
mhm,
like, it feels weird. I think you just
mhm.
recently did a marathon and then you have to run 10 minutes
Right,
and that is what you're allowed to
right.
do. And then 10 minutes the next day and then maybe 15 and 20. The thing is that now I am better at everything that I do running wise than I was when I was doing the marathon. So, and I don't understand how this is possible.
That's
Like
awesome.
honestly, I
Mhm,
I I would have understood it if it was like 2 or 3 weeks, because then I would be like, okay, yeah, I was running a lot, my
mhm,
body recovered.
mhm,
But when we're talking 9 to 10 weeks, you would lose fitness. I'm running my threshold workouts now faster than I did 2 weeks before the marathon that I ran 2:47 at. So nothing really makes sense.
that's
But
awesome.
and then comes my question. Long, long way to get to the
Mhm,
question. Have you experienced that because your body is under such tremendous pressure
mhm,
and load from the cancer, but maybe even more so the treatment,
mhm.
that you almost got a boost after, because then your body, because like training is load, right? Like
Right,
you're kind of just
right.
trying to put a lot of load on
Mhm,
your body, and then as soon as you take that away, it will, like, that's when you taper.
right.
Have you experienced anything like that after radiation or your treatments?
Yeah, so I did radiation last October, and then from October to April. So I was running under a state of just, something suppressing my body. I think I got used to it. I think so. First marathon 5:20, didn't know what I was doing. Stopped running 2017, kind of got into it, went to ranger school in 2018, so I had to run, but I didn't know anything about it. But I got better just sheer off if you do something, you're going to get better. My second deployment, I got into heart rate training, all those things. And then I ran a 3:19, whatever. My mileage and I wasn't big on I wasn't on Strava or anything, so I don't know, but if I had to guess, it was between 35 and 45-ish. So not that much, but 2017, that's almost 8 years. So I've been doing it for a while. It's not a lot. I wasn't running
Mhm.
100-mile weeks, but it was there. So October through April, mileage bumped up a little bit. I was always averaging 45 to 50. in this hollow radiation state. When I got off radiation in April, took a little time. When I say time off, I mean low running, so not like days off. But
Mhm.
come June or July, I am the biggest Truett Haynes fan. I don't know if you follow him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
I
who it is.
I love I
You
l
know him?
I don't know him, but I am gonna meet
No.
him one day. I'm a big manifester. I need to meet him.
Mhm.
I
Awesome.
met David Goggins. I wanna meet Cam Haines, and I want those are like my trifecta. Like, I just
Mhm.
so when I was watching Truett Haynes, the thing that impressed, because I thought I was doing a lot. So I'm off radiation now. My body feels better. My 45 to 50, I thought I was killing it. I was like, oh, 8 miles a day. And then on the weekend, you go on your long run. And I'm like, oh, I'm killing it. And I was watching all his videos, and he was really, he used to run, but I say this in the most utmost respect, just average. He was just this average dude,
Yeah.
pull ups, ran a 317, which is good. And now he's 225. So as I'm watching his journey, I was like, what is he doing? He wasn't doing anything. He was doing the same thing I was doing, just a little bit more. So I was like, oh, well, you know what? Let me just try it. So it became 10 miles every day. And it was like, okay, 10 miles, knock it out. And then the long runs got longer. And I was from July till CIM, I was between 65 and 90 miles. And it was just like,
Oh, wow.
dee, dee, dee.
Mhm.
Um, and I unlocked that thanks to him. I was like, if he can do it, not like in a, but I was like, he's just a guy, no
Mhm.
coach. I love that about him, self-coach. I was like, oh, I could do that. And it made the world of difference. Um, so let's rewind again. When I qualified for Boston the first time, 2022, I qualified in July. So I ran my third marathon 2022 in February. It was in El Paso. And that was the first one I did not have to walk. It was like a 3:57, so like a 8:50 some pace. That I was so proud. I was like, "Oh, wow." Didn't have to, like, you couldn't tell me anything because I didn't have to walk. I was so proud because before that was 5:20 and a 4:20, 4:45 where I just blew up. So then I was like, "Oh, what if you shave off 25 more minutes for Boston?" And I thought about it. I was like, "You're never running an 8-minute mile for that's just like nobody can do that." Like I knew people do it, but like people I was like, "No way." But then I was like,
Mhm.
"Just try." So I tried. So in April I ran another marathon, and I don't recommend this. Don't run a marathon every 2 months and just don't do that unless you're experienced. So in April, I got it down to a 3:42. And I was like, whoa. And I don't know how I did it. Back then, I don't remember. Just probably a little bit more. So got it down to a 3:42. And I was like, hey, maybe you can do this. So I signed up for
Mhm.
Jack and Jill downhill for that July. It was net downhill. It wasn't like crazy, and it was trail too, which I didn't know anything about that. So I ran that marathon and I came in it was an overall 7:30 something pace. I couldn't believe it. Qualify for Boston, the holy grail, my dream, boom.
Wow.
So in my mind, and that's only 3 years ago, but that there's a lot that happened in between. I was still running wise, not as wise. In my mind, I'm running this 7:30 whatever now. I have to sustain fitness. So I took like 2 or 3 days off and then I was on the track like a dummy. Before I was on the track, there was something under my big toe. I could feel a pain. It wasn't excruciating, but it was there. And as runners, we know if it's there, just stop and assess. And I
Mhm.
didn't. So I'm doing my thing around the track. I don't know what you're training for now. And it got worse. And I was like, you know what? Take your rest. From that August to November, I was out the game. It would not go away. August, September, October, November, out the game. I cross trained a little bit, but it was not running and it was so boring that I couldn't do it and my toe still hurt. It was stopped hurting and I did what you did. I ran on a 2-mile run. I remember this. I remember my watch and it was cold. It was like a 10:45, 1.5 mile. My heart rate was almost 150. And when I tell you I was pissed. Qualified for Boston a few months ago. I mean, killing it. And then I'm just this. it wasn't even
Mhm.
start from scratch again. It was start from the like, I was pissed, but I did, I took a day and I was like, "You know what? You know how to do it now, just start over." And I started over. By the time I ran Boston, I got it down to like a 8:30. And I learned a lot from that. I'm very keen on when I say no time off, I don't mean like, "Oh my god, you just ran a marathon, get back at new." I just took
Mhm.
5 days off after CIM, and then I just walked and did something because there's no fire. Now I'm more like, I rather cancel a speed session, cancel a run if I feel something rather than pushing through it, and then it's gonna take you out the game for weeks.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm very big on that, but I think so to your point that was so far away, when your body if you're running a 2:45, 2:47 or whatever, your body is it was and it is fit. And those
Mhm.
months of training, it's not just gonna forget it and be like, "Oh, I don't know how to run any." It's in there. So all those years when I thought I wasn't doing nothing and I didn't have a 303, but I was getting the training in. I was building the body up, even if it was only 35 to 45 miles. So now, one, increasing mileage was zero issue. And then two, your body's just used to it. So I think now that the
Mhm.
radiation is gone, and I tweaked some other things, now I was able to open up and get a 303, and that was at like a 150 something heart rate. That wasn't like
Mhm.
um that is one thing I noticed ever since radiation. I've had a heart so a few marathons prior, I was running marathons at 165, 175. Like, it would just
Yeah.
creep up and it's a lot, but it was sustainable. Now it's hard for me in a half marathon or marathon to go above 160. I don't feel a certain way. It's just hard to get that extra
Yeah.
pump. I don't know why that is. Um, I'm gonna try to as time goes by and I feel good. I'm doing CIM again next year. I love that marathon. When I do that block, I'm gonna try to see if I can get it that high to get in like uncharted territory. But ever since then, I haven't been able to get those hard efforts into that. I can't push the
Yeah.
ceiling
Mm.
anymore. But it is what it is. That just means I have to get my heart rate lower for a faster pace or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of the
But
the
but
rundown.
what about like just after like when you do you say that it was October you were done or was it April?
This
April you were
yep,
done.
April of 25.
Yeah,
Mhm.
April.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you go back to April
Mhm.
and like the first weeks or months after that,
I felt okay.
did you have yeah, and did you then have a lot of progress? Because like obviously the cancer was still is still there. Like you said, it will be
I
there, but
I like to think so. One, because, I was a Truett fan and I increased the mileage. I give a lot of kudos for this marathon mileage. I listen to a lot of your podcasts. I know everybody has a different take. Everybody has a different take. But one, once you get to know your body, mileage. Nothing will beat more mileage.
no, I agree.
it is like magic. And
I would
two,
actually say hours, like, but that is just my take on it.
no, yeah,
Hours,
yeah, yep, I
because,
agree. Time on
and
feet.
that is like if you, yeah, time on feet, but
Mhm,
also for, and it really depends on who you are. But
mhm,
like, I think Alex Yee, he's a great example of that.
mhm,
206 in Valencia now,
mhm,
doing a lot of work on the bike, right? Like
mhm.
just getting that. And
Just having
for
your
me,
heart
coming from
go.
a sport,
Mhm.
yes, exactly. And then run as much as you can in
Yes.
addition to that,
Yes.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
And I do agree with you. If you can handle
Yep.
like 150 miles, go
Right.
for it.
Right.
And then you can obviously start looking at uh, is it sustainable and not just for injuries, but also like because sometimes your legs just might be tired and you just run on fatigue all the time, and that
Right.
might not be sustainable. Now I was just voicing my opinion. I'm not supposed to do that here, but I was just, I totally agree with you. And then uh, I just know that there are so many people listening here who are struggling to get up that mileage,
S
and
so,
that then the cross training might
yeah,
come in
your
handy.
your favorite episode, Felicia,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
I love her, and
Hmm.
she's right.
Everyone does. Yeah.
I love her, and she's right, but that's her way.
Yeah.
Stair stepper, but that's what
Exactly.
But that's what people need to realize, like, instead of just, oh, mileage, the 100-mile weeks they're attractive, they're sexy, like, oh, 100-mile weeks, and,
Hmm.
all the influencers doing it, which is great, but even in the last episode, Truett Haynes, he even said, he's like, "Hey, like, it's gonna take a toll on you," and it is, 100 miles a week,
Yeah.
I mean, you're out there every days cranking out a lot double digit miles, and if you don't do a
Yeah.
double digit, one of them is super long. So, like you said, time on feet, but I do like hours. Go on the stair stepper for an hour, go on the bike
Mhm.
for an hour, go on the elliptical. It's your heart that you're exercising. And then once comes time, sure, threshold, tempo, all that. But a lot of people just, and then they do what I did when I was younger. They just go out, chase the miles, and now you're injured, and now you're out the game for 1 month, 2 month, 3 months when you could have just been getting lower mileage and some cross training. So I think a big factor y- you and that's why I don't think I would ever want to coach is figure out what works for you.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
have to and take some blocks, how we have these marathon training blocks. Take a block to figure out, hey, this marathon training block, I'm gonna try high mileage. Oh, don't like it. This marathon training block, I'm gonna try more carbs. This just try it all out,
Hmm.
figure what works, and then you put it together. And I feel like over the years, I know that I hate speed work. I do it. I start to like it more now. I love just going for a run. I'm big on, zone 2 and all that, but I really just listen to my body. So when I go out and I run, my body will tell me within the first 2 miles, today's the day or today we're just clocking miles.
Hmm.
And I'm in tune to that. I'm like, "Ooh, okay, pick it up." So with the zone 2, I even do like low end zone 2 and high. You obviously you know math, right? I'm big into math.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
one, because I'm 35, is 145 is my slow, my easy, that's my high end. That's when I'm like, "Oh, today we're doing steady," because 145 for me, I mean, that's like a 715, so
Hmm.
that's moving for me. So I usually run low end, like 135. So depending on how my body feels, I'm like up, low end, high end, and I'm not like, oh my God, like it's too stressful.
Yeah.
And I love high mileage. Hey, let me just go for 10, 12, 14. A lot of people, what they do wrong is they think it has to be fast. When people,
Hmm.
oh, easy run today, and then you look at their marathon time, but their easy run was 30 seconds. It's just like, no, that was 30 seconds slower than that's not easy. And I don't say
Yeah.
that to like, you can do whatever you want, but there's no flex. Like you don't care
No,
if
but
I say
you're right. Yeah,
easy run,
I
like
totally
that
agree
means
with you.
nothing to you. Like you're look at
Yeah.
so what is the goal? Like, oh, 6 minute mile, it was easy for you to think like, oh my God, she's doing a 6 minute mile. It's easy. Like that
Hmm.
what is that like? No. So just I'm
No.
very honest with I'll go out and run 10-minute miles and because I know you're building the engine. That's why I don't believe in junk miles. There's
No.
no it's time on feet, you know?
Yeah, I exactly. Yeah.
It's
And
time on
I've had
feet.
several. And I've had
Mhm.
several fast runners on now lately, like David McLean, who's the Irish champion in a marathon. He was
Mhm.
on, I guess the episode came out yesterday after, like, today we're recording on Tuesday. But
Mhm.
he he was also talking about how when he got better, like when he's proven himself in races, it's
Mhm.
also easier to kind of forget about Strava and almost use
Right.
the slow runs as a flex of like,
Right.
yes, I'm a 2:11 marathoner, but I can also run
Yes.
this slow.
Yes.
And I had a Danish runner on. Just we were talking just before this
Mhm.
recording, and he just did a 2:13 marathon,
Mm.
and he was saying the same thing as you, like you have people who are saying that they're going out for an easy run and then they're running the same pace as they would for a marathon, and it's just like, no, that's not how it works. But I
Right.
think that it's really hard for people to understand. My fiance, she just signed up for a half marathon. I,
Okay.
I don't understand
Mhm.
how that happened, because she told me, like, up until 2 days prior to or sorry, before signing up for this half marathon, she
Mhm.
told me, I'm never gonna run a race, I'm never running a 10K, nothing like that. And
Now
all
we
of a sudden she
now we
signed
got her
up for
hooked.
it. Yeah, and she is hooked, and I love that. But she's always told me that I do not want to run with you because I don't run with people.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, fair enough. And then I told her, like, well, because she asked me to be her coach kind of
Mhm.
for the half marathon. So I told her, okay, you have to just run very easy. I wanted to do like 3 times 30 minutes every week because she doesn't have any running experience. She needs to
Mhm.
just adjust to
Mhm.
this. She has like almost a year. And I told her, your heart rate is supposed to be at this, like,
Mhm.
and she came back from that first run and she's like, this is the first of all, like I can run further. Like I felt
Mhm.
like I could have just kept on running.
Mhm.
And it's also so much more fun when you can actually talk to people because she went out running with her sister
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
were talking and we were able to go out for a run and
Mhm.
talk. And it was almost like, this huge realization that, oh, running is very different from what I thought it was. And I
Yes.
think that's what people need to learn. And if they
Yes.
learn that, that's when they will start loving the sport of running, I think.
Yeah, running, people are like, "How do you love running?" Because 'Cause I'm not killing myself out there. Like, go run easy, and what people don't realize, like, running is it's you're really pounding your body, and it needs to be easy because you have to build all this stuff up. Like, now with all these influencers and then all these people are like, "Oh man, I need to be like that." They want to do what they do, which you can, but just give it some time. Don't be in a rush because you're gonna get injured. And it's just
Hmm.
not like just just have fun with it and slow down. I love slow running. I could do it all the time. And I you have to turn them into believers because people don't believe me either. Because I make a lot of run plans for like army people with the 2 mile and some other people who follow me. And I'm like, easy, but easy, like scientifically easy, not what you think is easy. And oh, well, I'm just
No,
going to go a little
exactly.
faster. Um, and they're like, what? That's not going to do anything. How did we get here? Just trust me. And then they do it for a few weeks and they're like, "Oh my god." And I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
not bad. They're like, "Oh, it wasn't bad. I wasn't dying." You're not supposed to be dying on your runs other if it's like just a really hard, even on the hard session, you're not supposed to be like getting wiped off the flow. I learned a lot with running because I always wait for this question on your podcast. My training has for the past years been very I already told you I'm systematic. I read the book 80 I read all the books, but 80/20. So whatever your mileage is, and it doesn't have to be 80/20, it could be 75. People
Yeah.
get too caught up in the minutia. So roughly 80/20 means a lot is slow and
Hmm.
a little bit is fast. That's all that means. That doesn't mean on a slow day you can't at the end pick it up for half a mile. Like
Nope. Nope.
but so, like, Monday, easy. Tuesday, usually Thursday or Friday, depending on how I feel. Tuesday is short, whatever. I'm not
Hmm.
too strict. It could be 400s, it could be half miles, it could be a combination, it could be 1Ks, it could be whatever, it could be a mile. It could be short, rest, whatever. And then Fridays is longer, slower, but not slow, but faster than Tuesday. That's all that
Hmm.
is. So
Hmm.
your intervals and then your tempo threshold, it's all the same. Just I'm very big on heart rate. If I'm doing something and the heart rate is there, then that's what it is going to be for the day.
Love that.
And then
Yeah.
on the weekend, my long runs used to be, oh my God, 13 miles. It's like, so what I try now is my belief is if you're training for the marathon or anything, you're over here worried about running fast. You need to be worried about running far. If your body can't even get you there, you're not going to be running fast there. So I
Yeah.
made it a point within this last, 20 miles every Saturday. Not because I have to. If I stop at 19, if I feel like doing 22, I'm very big on how do you feel? You good? Hey, just do another one. Or like, nah, I just want to go home. Go home. There's no like, oh my God. You, s- I took that stressor off me a few years ago because it's just not that serious. It's unless some of us
No.
are going to the Olympics, which they are on your podcast, obviously,
Hmm.
it's not that serious. And I'm very big on I will never like if I work out, I'm working out. What I mean by that is I'm going to give you my all for that day. I'm never going to be like, oh, I was supposed to do 10 reps. I just don't feel like, oh no, I'm going to give you 10 reps. So I know that about me. So if there was 20 on the docket and 18 and it's just not 18, there's 2 miles really. But I'm a big believer in, building your body up to go. I read this, is it the Hansons? It might be the Hansons. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Theirs was, hey,
Yeah.
for marathon training, 16 miles is your long run. Don't go above that.
Hmm.
May be scientifically proven. Some people like it and it works. I no. So you're telling me the max I'll ever go is 16 miles, but then in a race I need to run. No, no. For me, just for me,
Hmm.
it might work for
Exactly.
other
Yeah.
people. If you're running 16 miles at a whatever pace super fast, and then you can run that slower, absolutely. Some people say, "Hey, run 4 to 5 days a week," but they're running faster. I could see where that works because they get more rest and they can run faster. I
Hmm.
rather run more and slower. So the biggest advice I could give anybody, take little blocks. It could be a month or 6 weeks. Figure out what you like and figure out what your body likes, because I'm a big believer the only way you're going to be successful at running is if you actually want to get up and keep doing it. If you're
Yeah.
telling me, every day, "Jay, you gotta run this pace," I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna dread every session." I'll probably quit running, but if there's some, "Oh, man, I'm excited," like, that's how I wake up. I'm like, "Oh, whew, today's the easy day. It's a little 14," like, I can listen to my podcast. That's how you wanna wake up. That's gonna keep you happy and wanting to train. When I went up to 90-mile weeks, I thought it was gonna destroy me. I ran a few months ago. I did my 20-miler or whatever on a Sunday, and I was like, "Man, you gotta up your mileage. What if you don't take a day off?" I've never not taken it 1 day off for a week. I was like, "But what if you don't?" I was like, "Oh, there's no way I run 20 and then there's no way." I ran up. I got up that day, ran, like 8 to 10 nothing, just like I didn't even. I was like, "I've been holding out." Like, so
Hmm.
now I take a rest day when my body is like, "Yes, it is a rest day." And that usually honestly, it doesn't really come because I do a lot of easy running. Um,
Hmm.
Maybe every 14 to 20 days, if that. Even with my, tempo work, I will never redline again. I used to do it. I for what? No, "Hey, you're gonna hit." I got my quarter mile repeats up to 20, half, some are 10, depending on the pace. If you're feeling good and do another one, but you're not cranking like, "Oh, I could go way faster." Well, then go way faster next time. Don't try
Hmm.
to, and I listen to my legs and my lungs. Like if something's like, "Oh, whoa," I immediately stop. But I don't even take it there anymore because the next session to me is it's important. Um,
Yeah.
so that's kind it's
It's
go ahead.
I think it's so fun to hear. First of all, thank you for sharing that training week. That was my
Mhm.
next question. So that was perfect that
Mhm.
you shared that. And I also, first of all, I feel like this is like the best and most simple recipe for like
So
for any
simple.
runner.
So easy.
Honestly, like you have a couple of harder sessions, the rest is
Mhm.
easy, and then you have the long run. I'm gonna ask you a little bit more about the long
Mhm.
run before we head over to the next segment of the podcast. But I also feel like you were saying before we started recording that oh, I'm not like that fast of a marathoner. You've had so many fast marathoners on here. I
Mhm.
don't know what I can say or do. Like the thing is that a lot of the people listening to this, kind of back to what we were saying
Mhm.
about the life that you have now, a lot of people will dream about.
Mhm.
A lot of listeners, I'm sure, will be like, what
That's
if
fair.
I can run a like sub 3 marathon? Because I
Mhm.
would say that you're
Oh, it's
around there,
coming.
right? Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Or maybe like even run a sub 3:15 marathon
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
3:30 or even sub 4, all of these things.
Mhm.
And I feel like you're a great example of how you can do that. And I'm sure
Mhm.
like they don't necessarily need to have 90 miles a week. Like they can have less than that. But uh, what you're also proving is that with your body kind of just fighting you also every day in a different way, totally regardless of the running,
Mhm.
that means that what you're doing must be right. Because if you were not doing it the right way, or what, and again, what works for you, but
Mhm.
like if you didn't and you had this like external or internal, if we could probably
Right, right.
call it, like the challenge there, then you definitely wouldn't have been able to have the results that you have. So I think that the things that you're describing, like your training, is maybe more relevant in some ways
Right.
than the professionals. I like personally, I love to hear the professionals, but sometimes you also need to hear people who
From
you can
a normal
relate more
person,
to.
right, right, a normal
Yeah,
runner. Yeah. No, no,
yeah,
no, that's fair.
someone you
Yeah.
can relate more to.
Mhm.
So I really appreciate that. And before I ask you about the long run, I also want to ask you, how do you think that, or how has it been for you, like before and after cancer,
Mhm.
in terms of running? So now I'm
Mhm.
just talking running and like the training. Is your body just like responding the same way? Do you feel like you can do just as much? You did mention the heart rate, but
Mhm.
like if we think just load and training, is there a change? And I'm asking that for people who might have
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
who's dealing with the same thing, or maybe they're dealing with the same thing themselves.
Yeah, I don't it's weird. There is a change, but a better change. I've never ran that many miles. It was always, um so I don't think I think it's the change is the better, but I think that's all I know we've going back and forth, but from this story, the main thing is I've just been so consistent, so my body's just used to it. Cause even, when miles were if I was running 35 to 40 miles, I was in the gym. Like I've been working out 2.5 to 4 hours a day for I don't know how many years. And a lot of my running too, even if it's an easy run, for a lot of it, I go to the gym right after just to get my body to me in my mind, you're turning a 1.5 hour run into a 3 hour session. What you're gonna need for a marathon, a ultra, your body's just going. Your heart is just, because they're always like, "Oh, should I work out or run before?" So that's like my mantra. But I think it's better. It's better because of the knowledge. The knowledge. I didn't know what I didn't know. If I
Yeah.
was, because everybody that I've not everybody, but most of the influence and stuff I follow, they're like 25. And in my mind, I watch him. I think I'm 25. I have to remind myself you're about to be 36. So
Mhm.
but I don't
Well,
feel
I'm
that.
33 and I'm trying to remind myself I'm not 17.
You
So,
know what I'm
you
saying?
know,
So,
yeah.
but I it's better because I'm more knowledgeable. Like I was just saying, don't dismiss the easy runs are easy. The hard runs are hard, but still not, don't wipe yourself off the floor. And that compounding effect. And in every podcast I listen to, they all say the same thing, consistency. Because when I hear the 210 and 205, because I will call myself a delirious believer. I'm not running 205, but I will compare and I will do what are the pros doing? I'm not doing that, but what are they doing? And let me do it too. Cause we're all human. We're all made of matter.
Mhm.
There's no
Yeah. Yeah.
difference. You just did it in college.
Mhm.
Like kudos, you
Exactly.
have
Yeah.
more time.
Yeah.
Like if I did it in college, hell, I might be at the Olympics right now. We will never know.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
Consistency. They all say the
Yeah.
same thing. We can talk about
Yep.
threshold, we can talk about tempo. Yes, plus, minus, I got it. Consistency. Every time, and this is what I tell people, and I know maybe your body probably can't handle it right now because you're not used to it, but if you add 1 mile, and it will take time, if you add 1 to 3 miles every week, in 10 weeks, that's 30 miles.
Mhm.
That's almost double than, let's say that's what somebody are doing. That is a huge difference. But let's say Monday through Sunday, you run 3 times a week and I run 6. You're not catching me. And I'm not saying you're catching if somebody's trying to catch somebody. It's just not enough. You're not you'll be able to run the half marathon maybe. Maybe you can run the marathon, but your body, the more you expose it to something, then that's just what you do. Like I tell people now, they're like, "Oh, yeah, I run 10 miles every morning." They're like, "Oh my God." When I think back to, 8 years ago, I would run 7 miles on a weekend and I would be like, "Oh my God." You know? But once
Mhm.
you do
Yeah.
something every day, your body's just like, "Okay." And when I'm done running,
Mhm.
I'm just like, "Okay." I don't walk around to work like, "Oh my god." It's just like, "You're done." I build
Yeah.
up to that. So my
Mhm.
belief is anybody who starts and who is willing can build up to it. That's why like Strava and all that, I don't follow anybody and I don't have anybody follow me back because I don't want to get caught up in the What are you doing? What am I doing? I
Mhm.
am the biggest believer of stay in your lane. Like,
Yeah.
maybe I had an injury, maybe I had cancer, maybe you had whatever, maybe this person ran in your lane because you're gonna drive yourself crazy. Consistency. Consistency is what I mean, once I started running every day, it's just so it's just easy. It's just like you don't have to
Mhm.
it's just and I can't explain it. Like once I was doing that for like 6 weeks, I went to Germany to visit my mom in November, and I'm in El Paso right now, so the altitude is like 4, so it's not high, but it's there. So I went to Germany. I was like, "Oh," I went for a run, and my heart rate was like a 740, 750 at like a 130, and I was like, "Whoa." Just I've never seen a 7 like, it was wild, and I was like, "Wow," and I had to go back, like, "Is my watch broke?" And then I just been seeing all the miles, and it was double digit runs every
Mhm.
day. And it went
Yeah.
anywhere from a 9:45 to it doesn't matter. If you can
Yeah.
show up every day and run something, run 2 miles, just do 2
Mhm.
every day. It doesn't 5 days a week. You get what I'm saying. But people aren't willing to do that. They'll train for
Yeah.
a race. I got a 5K next month. They'll build up and then they'll stop. And then
Yeah.
they had so if just get in a habit of, training for nothing. Just stay
Mhm.
just stay active, maybe not as
Move.
active, like, in your marathon block or whatever you're doing, but stay active, keep that fitness up, and then you just have to sharpen it versus build it back up, and I think that has what's been leading to this 303 because now I know that I like high mileage. I figured out, the tempo, the threshold, I figured out strides. A big one for me is nutrition. I am when it comes to the gym, I've always been 100% locked in. You're not telling me nothing. I won't skip a day. When it comes to nutrition, I was that person that's like, "Oh, since I'm always that locked in, I get to be less locked in." Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gave myself that out because I love food
Mhm.
and I didn't wanna be that strict, like, I'm over here running, 650 miles for, like, a 10 miler, like, "Oh, I can eat kinda healthy." When I say kinda, 80%. So I had there was a 10 miler in October, the Army 10 miler, and I ran like a this October, so I ran like a 650 something pace, it wasn't what I thought I could do like 6:30s. It was windy, it was hot, it doesn't matter. This girl passed me, and she had the look that I thought I should have. I work out hours a day, all these things. And I got pissed off. I always tell people, "You will know when you had enough," whatever that pertains to, whatever it is in
Yeah.
your life.
No, I know what you
And she
mean. Yeah.
passed me, and I was already pissed off about the weather and all this stuff. And I was just like, "Why are you not like, when are you ever gonna like, how long are you gonna run until you could be?" I got off the track, not the track, the road, the 10 miler, and I hit up one of my. He's a bodybuilder. I was like, "I've had enough. I need to, if I can." The physical fitness is locked in. I just need more time and consistency. Tracking that. The nutrition, I'm at 80%. What if I explore the 20? What if? What if I just
Mhm.
try? I've been working with him since October 7th. My God, was I under fueling? I'm almost embarrassed to speak on my eating habits. It was just, oh my God. Point of the matter is, I've been working October 7th to CIM. Astronomical change in was only 2 months.
Wow.
Prior to working with him, I weigh about 150, 155. I definitely wanna get leaner. I was at, like, this 1,800 calorie thing, like, "Oh, I gotta get leaner." I wasn't
Mm.
fueling right. What are you gonna get as a 10 miles minimum a day? What are you eating for 18 under fueling, the sleep was okay, like, it was just trash. And that's a whole whole 'nother story for a different podcast. Eating disorders, body dysmorphia.
Mm.
A lot of people assume that runners, we're just all abs, all fit. We're not.
Yeah.
Do we have
Yeah.
to be? No. But, everybody, wants certain things, and I don't wanna look like a fitness model, but I do wanna be leaner. I do feel like for the work that I put in, I should look a certain way, which I'm getting to now.
Yes. Yeah.
Working with this man, I'm eating 25 to 3,000 calories a day now. Prior to that, I was at 1,800, and the performance, I will never run fasted again. Like, why? What was
No.
I and I did that a lot. Hey,
Yeah.
fasted run, fat oxidation, all this BS, which I'm not saying it's not true. I do still run fasted sometimes, but predominantly, no. Get your low carbs in, and my performance has skyrocketed. I mean, the splits I was hitting on the track, it was just like, again, is my watch broke? Um, the nutrition. So consistency, um, nutrition, don't sleep on it. I'm not saying, just eat chicken and rice, which I am doing, but I'm not saying just do that, but be cognizant of carbs, protein. You still need your protein. You still all those things. It's very important. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of things that I think led into this 303, which now that I know, I'm going for like a 245. Now that I
Yeah,
know.
and I love that. That is the one thing that I wanted to kind of for us to end this conversation because
Mhm.
now we talked for almost
That
one
was
hour and
quick.
20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Time is just flying.
Mhm.
But I love what you told me before we started recording, and just what you said now. That now it's not about sub 3 anymore.
Oh,
Now it's
no.
like sub
Yes.
250. Like
Mhm.
what all this. I think that is amazing, and I think that it kind of sums up the whole episode that uh, we've had here of that belief, right? Like
Yes.
believing in yourself,
Mhm.
and when you have one performance, just like use that to believe more,
Yes.
not drag yourself down, kind of like back to what you were saying about starting to immediately criticize yourself for
Right,
not being
right,
faster, because it's
right.
easy to do that. Like
Yes.
if you run a 2:10:00
Mhm.
marathon, it's just like, oh, why didn't I just run like one
Right,
second faster? I would have been a
right,
2:09 marathon,
right.
or a 2:59. That. So I really appreciate everything that you said here. And just quickly before we end the
Mhm,
conversation, because we kind of have to do that, unfortunately,
mhm,
but uh, I always ask about the long run, right? And
mhm.
you did talk about it a little bit. Uh, what does it usually look like for you? So you were talking about how long it was, and you also touched on intensity in like the other workouts. But for the long run, do you do it steady, or is it just time on feet?
So, you know, the big belief factor comes in with like the 245 is because there's a lot of things I haven't done. I know all about what the pros do, 2-mile warm up, marathon pay. I know all the things. I haven't done it. I haven't. I think this year my focus was like just try to do it cuz all my cancer. But now that I know like I'm good, I'm healing, I'm going to explore those. So my long run it doesn't. What I used to do, so what I'll do is easy meaning low end zone 2, 135, just time on feet. And then sometimes I'll be like, hey, bump it up a notch. But I haven't hit 1 mile of marathon pace in my long run this whole year. Um I haven't. I so I don't have a good answer on I do believe
But
in
I'm
it
not
though.
sure. Yeah, I was gonna say I am not sure.
So
I
no,
saw
yeah, so
someone
my long
saying
run
that.
is slow. It's
Yeah, I
it's
think
it's
that's
same
great.
as my easy running during the week.
Yeah.
And then if I feel good, I'll pick it up. What I have been implementing in the last month is I love treadmill running. You can't tell me anything about treadmill run. I love it. Steady. Get on the treadmill, super easy, and then I'll do steady. And I know it doesn't equate, but I already know, hey, if I run a 7 on the treadmill outside in El Paso, that's a 7:30. So I know that, but I'll still run the 7 to get the feeling, get the turnover. It doesn't matter. Look at your heart rate and do that
Mhm.
steady. So I'm very excited to explore if I actually do workouts in my long run because they're necessary. You're not running 6 whatever minute miles late in the game if you haven't practiced it. But all my long runs have been at least a minute and a half slower than marathon paced. I did one in Germany that was at like a 7:50, 1:33.
Mhm.
So 1 minute slower. So I do some,
Yeah.
but there was no, 4 miles. I haven't hit marathon pace yet in the long run. That attributes to, I will say this. If you are starting and you don't know where you're at yet, run a race because the day before I was like, "Man, I'm flirting with the 3." I tried to do marathon pace, 15 seconds, I was like, "Oh, what I can't do it." Like, it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
it was weird. I did my little 3 shakeout run, I was like, "You know what? Let me see what sea level feels like." It didn't feel great, and I was like, "Oh." And I was like, "You know what? You've been here before, trust the process." And then so run a race, run a 5K, a 10, a half, just to see how you feel during the race because it's completely different. And then you
Oh yeah, so
get
different.
some metrics from there to see your true potential. Because if you just go out leisurely on a tempo, you're not really going as fast as data says you can. And then obviously in training, back that off, but just know mentally like, oh, I could do this, back to the drawing board. Then you go back out and then you bring it back in. So yeah, I'm excited. I say 2:45 because I know I haven't been exploring with the long run, and I will do that now that I know my nutrition, now that I know I can handle high mileage, and I've been doing what Felicia says, that damn stair stepper. That thing is good. So
Yeah.
all those variables, I'm excited. So this year's going to be predominantly ultra and building the base, but the end of 2026 and then 2027, you're gonna see me. I'm gonna hit 2:45. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm running a
I
2:45. So.
I love that. And
Hmm.
I can't wait to see where you end up with that. And also, good luck. We didn't talk about the ultras, but that is also very exciting. And I'm sure the listeners can follow you on
Yeah, for
Instagram and
sure.
follow along with that or tag along. And yeah, I'll link your profile or your
Yeah, for
Instagram
sure.
down below. And Jay, thank you so much for taking
Of
the time
course.
and for being so open. I think that's very important. And I'm sure that this episode will help a lot of people. And yeah, so I just really appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah,
so
it
much.
was absolutely amazing. Thank you for having me. I hope this helps somebody. So
I'm sure it does.
cool.
Sometimes you just meet people and you're kind of just blown away. This one definitely had me reflect more. I It kind of makes you reflect on obviously your own life, but also on how people's perspectives are so impressive. And I just can't say or emphasize that enough. Like the way Jay is handling things is just super, super impressive. I'm very, very grateful to her for coming on. And I'm also very excited to see where she can go with her running. And this episode also just made me understand more, but it is hard to even, you know, it's hard to understand how you can be able to perform the way she is with all those things trying to just beat her from the inside. And yeah, I don't know what to say. It made me speechless. So thank you, Jay. And thank you to you for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this one. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Thanks for listening to the Marathon Podcast. It was brought to you by Wild Studio.